G'day viewers, welcome back to another video. Prospector Pete here with popular demand, another reverse cycle electronic stripping cell, well, reverse cycle electroplating, or some people call it electronic sulfuric stripping cell. However you want to call it, there's multiple names for it. So basically we start with a charger, battery charger, just an old 12 volt charger. Then we got sulfuric acid, and I've got a lead anode, I think that's called. I can't remember which is which. Cathode, anode. One of those is anode, one's cathode. I forget what they are. This is stainless steel. These things here, they're a bit corroded because they've been out with my acids but so the fumes have got to them, but that's alright. It's basically copper, the heat sinks off the what do they call those things? VGAs, and you can see they've got gold on them. So I'm going to take the gold off. This is gold coated aluminium. These are watch bands, and this is some kind of pin that would go on your shirt or something. And this is all steel that's got bits of gold on it. Now the reason why these are all perfect for this is because they're all things that would consume way too much acid if I was to put them in nitric acid. This here is mostly copper and would just annihilate the acid, would consume so much acid, it's not funny. It would be a total waste of acid. Plus I don't want to dissolve the copper, I want to put those in my stock pot. Aluminium, if anyone knows the reactive series of metals, it's violently reactive to acids. So it would be silly to put that in the stock pot, or if I put it in nitric acid. And I don't even know how it's going to go in the sulfuric. I'm going to just touch it to the acid and see. Then I've got watch bands that are obviously a lot of steel. It's only gold plated, and these things are all steel that would all take up so much nitric, it's not funny, it'd be a waste. So I'm going to take the gold off using the sulfuric stripping cell. So now we put I'm pretty sure, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the anode, and I think the basket is the cathode. So put the negative onto the lead. Now I had this video like this once before, but I didn't use a basket. I was just putting the pieces onto this clip, and it was corroding my tip. I went through so many tips. So this time I'm going to use a basket. I might put that on there like that. And move these wires out of my way, like so. So what we're going to do is just first off, I'm going to just try this aluminium and see how it reacts. It's good, it's not violently reacting. And you can see that the gold started coming off already, that quick. So what I'll do is I've got plasterboard down in case there's any spills. I'll put this into here like so. Make sure you're wearing your gloves, guys. This sulfuric acid is really bad. It'll certainly upset your day if you got this on you. Now this basket's a touch too long, but it's going to do the job. So I'll place these in here. Probably would have been better straight to the clip, but I don't want to keep corroding all my clips. Not the very best lighting. If there was good lighting, you would see all the gold coming off, and you'd see in between the lead. I can see it, but I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not. Yeah, you can see it's almost off the aluminium. It's unusual seeing gold coated aluminium. I was quite surprised when I first saw it. But It's working better if I have it straight to the clip. It's alright, it can sit there for a few minutes. Okay, so these have only been in for a few minutes and they're done. You can see it's clean aluminium. And for those who are wondering, I don't know 100%, but I really do believe that was gold plated and not anodized. There's bound to be someone who says, oh, they were anodized. Maybe they were, but the only thing that would make me think now that they could have been anodized is I'm seeing gold colouring in the solution when it should be black. As the gold comes off, it should come off black. Now, these ones have still got a bit on there, but that's okay. On the off chance that it's not actually gold, I'm going to just take them out anyway. Because I've never seen the gold colouring floating around the liquid before, I've only ever seen the black. What I've done is I've moved the basket a bit closer to the lead. It seems to be the closer you get, the better it works. Now, normally I would put these onto the clip, but as I said, I don't want to just keep destroying my clips. So I'm going to place it in the acid. I don't know how well it's going to do. You can see it working, all the bubbles coming up. Doesn't take very long. A few minutes on each one. I went through about 6 pairs of these clips the last video because I had most of them submerged in the acid. This is obviously going to take a little bit longer without using it straight to the clip. So I'll let these go for a few minutes. I'm not going to show you every single one because there's a whole bucket load of them. Excuse me. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll do the rest of these. I'll come back when all these are done and then show you the other things. Okay, so I've done all the copper. You can see that the mix is quite dirty now. It's not actually dirt, it's gold powder. And the gold powder will eventually settle at the base or the bottom of the liquid. And this is the rinse water. I end up putting a rinse water in here off cam. So I'm going to rinse these off to make room for the other things. And then I've got a second rinse water here. So I'll put all these in there. I'll do that off camera so you know what that's going to be like. So now I'm going to do these. Now this is all bits of steel that was around plugs with cords, pins on them. So there's a little bit of gold on that one. Some of them are quite good, like this one here. There's a decent layer of gold on there. And I don't want to just consume too much acid for no reason. So this one here's got, you know, a pretty good coating on it. I can go down the deeper section down there. Two things were happening that I'd never seen before, so someone might be able to tell me. Firstly, in here, in the rinse water, you can see bubbles coming up. I have no idea why there's still bubbles coming up. I haven't seen that before any times I've done this. And also, the lead bar that I've got here was coated in gold. And I can only imagine that that would happen if the leads were reversed, and they weren't reversed. And you can see the black gold in the liquid, so it's working properly. But I had to wipe off a coating of gold that was on the lead. It wiped off real easy. So I don't know what that was about, but anyway, I'm just throwing these in. I think that one missed the basket, but I'll get that later. Okay, so I'll put the wire back on. And periodically I'll just stir these around and make sure that they're all touching. That's quite hot, so it's good, it's getting a bit of warmth to it. So periodically off camera I'll just give them all a stir, make sure that they're all separated from each other and they're all touching the mesh. And when they're ready to come out, I'll put them in there and I'll put the watch bands in and I'll show you that part. So not long to go now. Alright, so these have been in there for a few minutes now. These are all done. I'll put them all in the washer, so putting this up so I can see. Yeah, they're all well and truly done. There's only one here that's got a couple of dots on it, that's no big deal. This one just here, I'll put that up, I'm going to do that last. So the current's still running through. Just pull all these out. Once I've got all these out, I'll put the watch bands in. It's got quite a bit of heat. This cage is really hot, but it's not overly hot, not enough that I've got to worry about. I don't have to turn it off or anything. There's a couple of gold bits on here. Might leave that in a little bit longer as well. This is done. I hate it when you drop them down the side like that. Gotcha. It's done. There's just a couple of things I'll leave in there a little bit longer. And now I'll put these watch bands in. Lay that out there. You see the bubbles coming up. So they're all evenly spaced. See the bubbles? That's the gold coming off. And we're nearly finished. Once they're in the wash, then all I've got to do is let everything drain, let all the gold sit, pour off the excess, the liquid can be used again, and then collect the last little bit, and we'll go through that when we get to it. Alright, so this one here, you can see that the gold's come off, and it's just coated now, it's no good. So they can go in the wash. These ones here, still got a coating on it, so that might be carat gold. They can go in here. I couldn't see a number on it. I looked, and I don't have any way of doing acid testing. And this one here still got a coating. I'd say these might be carat gold. So I'll put those in nitric. So now this can go off. I've got a big dish here, so I can put the lead in there, give it a wash over, get the slimes off it, bits of gold that might be stuck to it. I can sit in there for now. And the basket just needs to go in water, otherwise it'll eventually get eaten apart. So leave that in there until the next time you want to use it, or until I can get a chance to clean it properly. If I left that in the acid, it would certainly be deteriorated by tomorrow. And now it's just a matter of letting this acid and the kind of water, wash water, just settle, and all the gold settle to the bottom. And I'll show you when we get to that stage. I was looking for one of these with a lid so that I could stop. At the present moment it would be absorbing moisture from the air, and I didn't want that. And I know that you can buy these with a plastic lid that goes on. I haven't been able to find any anywhere. So I'm going to put some Glad wrap or some plastic wrap over the top of it to stop any dirt and any moisture getting into the acid while it has a chance to settle. And then tomorrow I'll pour off all the clean acid, and when I get to the last little bit of acid that's got gold in it, then we'll put that in, we'll sort that out later, we'll treat that later. So for now, off camera, I'll just put some Glad wrap over it and leave it at that for now. So what I've done is I've tipped, this was the secondary wash container, and I've tipped it into here. It's just drying out. This is the first wash container where I took things from the acid and put them in here. So you can see all the gold in the bottom. It's quite a lot. If I move it, you can see it all moving. This is where I put the wire mesh. There's a lot of gold in the bottom of that. And then this is the acid. And it hasn't settled as nicely as I'd hoped. So I'm going to have to put all the acid in water. Now, I've said this before, and you've probably heard it before, but please always only ever put acid in water. Don't put water in acid. Sulfuric acid is highly reactive to water, and you want to make sure that there's always at least twice as much water as there is acid to heavily dilute it and make it safer. It's never going to be safe, but safer. So what I'm going to do now, I've already got some water in this container here, and I'm going to pour this water into it. Rinse out the gold. And I'll pour this one into it. Into the gold. Now before I pick this acid up, I'm going to put my face mask on, because in case it was to splatter and spit and carry on in my face. And I'm going to tip it away from me rather than towards me, just to be sure. You hear that noise it's making? I missed a bit, I'll get that out later. Now, I'm going to wait all over again for that to settle. Wash my hand because I scraped that gold off. There's a bit floating on top, so what I might do later on, if it doesn't settle, put this on spray and just give it a spray to get it off the surface. We'll see if it settles. If it doesn't settle, I'll do that later on. And now that's so diluted that it's not going to be as dangerous. But I'm still going to wear gloves. I just probably won't need eye protection. And when the time comes and the gold has settled, I can safely pour this liquid down the drain, because, and the only reason I would use the drain in this situation is drain cleaner is usually sulfuric acid anyway. So it's not going to cause any harm. If anything, it'll do good to pour this down the drain. But I'm going to try and make sure all the gold's at the bottom. And I'll pour off most of it. I might even just get a bit lower and then siphon it. But we'll see when the time comes. I've had this sitting now for probably 4 hours, and a lot of the gold has settled to the bottom, but there's a lot on top here. I've even tried putting some detergent in the water to break the surface tension, which is probably those white bubbles you can see. But this stuff just refuses to go down, so I'm going to gently scoop it off, put it into the coffee pot, and try and get as much as I can. I've never seen it float like this before. Probably won't be able to get all of it. Now the water's all stirred up, so I'm going to have to let it sit again, I guess. And so I still see bits floating around. That's about all I can get for now. So I'll let that sit, and if any more appears on top like that, I'll see if I can get that last bit. So I'll let it settle, and then scrape any more off that I find later on. As I can see now that it's all stirred up in there, the water's all stirred. So I'll carry on trying to get that off and come back to you when it's done. So I've transferred the solutions into these glassware so that I can let it settle and then siphon off the liquid, because in here it's too wide an area for the gold to settle and not deep enough to be able to siphon it. At least this way, it's a tall vessel. There wasn't enough room there, so I've put these two as well. And they're much easier to siphon the solution off and leaving the gold at the bottom. So I'll be able to gather all the gold together probably by tomorrow. I've decided against siphoning off the liquid because there's actually a lot of gold still in suspension. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. See it moving around there? It's just not settling, and I want to catch every little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm storing it into an old nitric container, and I'm going to filter it all so I catch every little bit of gold. Now, for those of you who like to make your own nitric acid, this is absolutely perfect, because there's probably plenty of ways, but one way I know of to make your own nitric acid is to mix sulfuric acid with water and then add some sort of nitrate salt. Well, this is already sulfuric acid mixed with water. So all I need to do now is get hold of some nitrate salt. So I'm going to store this solution in an old nitric acid container until I can find some nitrate salt. So I'm going to filter all that through this funnel and into this container. I should be left with a nice pile of gold. You see at the bottom here, there's a pretty thick layer in there. Don't know how well you can see, but it should look good. That's the last of the solution to go through. You see the gold's getting quite nicely in the filter. So once that's gone through, then I can put the filter in AR and dissolve the gold, refine it. Should be beautiful. Hope there's a lot in there. Alright, so the gold has completely drained through, all the solutions drained through, and I put it in this container here. Now it's time to dissolve the gold. That should be plenty. And then just a touch of nitric acid. I'd rather add a little bit and then a little bit more later than to add too much. There should be plenty. Stir, make sure it's all mixed up. And it's a really hot day today, so I'm going to go and place this out in the sun. And I'll come back once that's done. I've had it sitting out in the sun for 2 hours now. It's a very hot day, and as you can see, there's still plenty of black solution, black gold in there. So I'm going to need a little bit more nitric acid. As I said before, I prefer to add little bits at a time than to end up with too much. Small increments is all you need. That's plenty for now. Little bit by little bit by little bit. Or you risk having too much nitric and you'll never be able to drop the gold. Just make sure that the filter's all broken up, that you can access all the gold that's in it. That's the good thing about Aqua Regia, it breaks filters up very easily. Coffee filters don't actually disintegrate, but the round ones you buy for your Buckner funnels, they do. I'll have to get the squirt bottle and rinse that spoon off, so I'll need 2 hands for that. Well, this hasn't all gone clear like I hoped. There's still a lot of black on the bottom, and I've put lots of nitric in there, way more than I should need to. I have no idea what that dark stuff is. So this is, I suppose, good for newbies to realise that things don't always go to plan. If you might have a strange colour in your solution and not know what it's for. So we're going to do a gold test. Only need a drop. There should be plenty, 3 drops. Just getting my stannous ready. It's hard to do this one-handed. Now if there's got gold in it, it should go black. Nothing. No gold. Oh, it's starting to go black now. Very, very slowly. That's not a very good result. So what I'm going to do is put some more hydrochloric acid in there for starters, because there's probably not enough in there. There should be plenty, but just in case there's not. And I'll put some more nitric in there as well and see what happens. Okay, there's still a lot more to dissolve yet, so I'll put some more in there. Put my glove on. So I put twice as much as I normally do, and if it looks like all that black stuff's still there, then that must just be dirt or something, because it should all dissolve by now. Hello? 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 So I'll leave it up there for a bit more in the heat and sun. Okay, so I've added extra hydrochloric acid and some nitric acid. The hydrochloric was just to make sure that the ratio is right. There is still stuff at the bottom of the dish. It's got me beat. I've never seen that before. All I can think of is it's just crap that was amongst it, like on top of the aluminium, the copper heat sinks, there was that iridium, or whatever that whatever that sort of metal is with the glass thing. So I reckon that's what that is. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to filter the solution, get all that crap out of it, and I'm going to have to denox it because I've put a lot of nitric in there trying to dissolve it. I'm gonna have to denox it and then drop the gold. So off camera now, I'm gonna filter it, and that's running through quite nicely because there's nothing in there to block it. I really have no idea what all this stuff is. I've never ever seen that in the amount of times I've done these. So as I said to you before, for newbies that wonder why there's a reaction that shouldn't be, or a sediment that shouldn't be, this is just goes to show that this happens to everybody. But don't stress, just filter it out and all will be good. So that'll settle just enough to pour off the good stuff when there's some room in this filter. See, that's dripping through quite nicely. I'll try and pour that off gently so I don't get all the sediment until the very end. Otherwise it'll gum up my filter and take forever. So I'll wait till that's about halfway down and I'll pour some more of this in there. And then when it's almost through, I'll put all the sediment in there, and I'll rinse off all the filter and everything later on. Make sure I get all the gold solution out of the filter, and should be able to drop the gold tomorrow. Okay, so the solution has all been strained through a filter. I'm now going to add sulfuric acid to denox it. It's strange, doesn't need denoxing. That's alright, I can wash that out when I wash the gold. I've got some SMB here in water. I'll pour that in. I'm just going slow so it doesn't get a boil over. Slowly changing colour, but I think I may need more SMB. I'll turn the camera off for that. Before I went and got more SMB, I just gave it a stir with a spoon and I got instant colour change. Nice and brown the way it should be. So now it's just a matter of waiting for it to drop. Okay, so the gold has dropped nicely. There's a good bit of gold in there, but there's also gold in suspension. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's just not going down. So I have two choices. I can either pour off that liquid and just wait for that to settle later and collect it later while I wash this, or I can put the whole lot in a filter. Now I need as much gold as I can get right now because I'm trying to save up for a metal detector that I can use on the beach. I need every bit of that, so I'm going to put it through a filter like this one, but this has already been used. So I'll put another filter in here and I'll filter all of that gold. It just means that I'm going to have to wash it while it's in a filter, which I would have preferred to do in a beaker, but it is what it is. So I'll get a filter ready. Alright, so I'm going to pour this in. I won't need to show you all this because everyone knows what this is all about. Just wait for it to drain down a bit, put some more in, and so on until I get to the bottom. And once I've caught all the gold, I'm going to refine it. I'm going to dissolve it back into AR again, but I've got to wash it first. I've got to wash it 3 times in boiling water, and then wash it once in HCl, and then back in hot water again to get rid of the HCl. Then I'll dissolve it again to refine it. Okay, so the gold clumps quite nicely. You can see that the way it moves around in the beaker, which means only needs like one more refine. And then that dark spot down there is the gold that was floating. So yeah, it's all worth catching. So what I'm going to do now is pour this last bit in. I'll have to get the squirt bottle. Looks quite nice, eh? You see it? Just the way it slides down like that in one big piece is good. I hate these bottles that stop working on you when you need them to work. Come on, there's one bit there that won't come down. There we go. Got him. Okay. So you can see it all clinging to the side there. When it gets, when most of that fluid goes down, I'll squirt this down and get it all down to the tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that short here. I could refine it, but I'm going to make a separate video on refining. And so if you want to see how much gold I got, you'll see it in the next video. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please share this video if you like it. Let me know if you got any comments. I'll see you in the next one.